Teach. Now you may be thinking as a beginner, how can I teach anybody anything? Well, teaching is a great way to cement your understanding. I've been teaching guitar for around 15 years and played for around 20 before I started teaching. But in the first week that I taught, in fact the first morning that I taught, I had people ask me questions that I'd never thought about on the instrument before and had to think about them and then get back to them the next week. Teaching people is a great way to really know whether you understand something. There's an old programmer's trope about having a rubber duck next to your monitor, and if you're trying to work out how something works, you need to be able to explain it to the rubber duck. Teaching other people is similar to this, as you can't make assumptions about what they know and what they don't know. A good suggestion for this is setting up your own programming blog. Trying to explain what you've been learning is a great way of documenting it, but it's also a good way of filling in any gaps that may be in your knowledge. As you start writing it out, you may find that there are some areas that you just glossed over, and you'll have to research them a little more and understand them a little better to be able to put them in your programming blog. You can also take this as an opportunity to field and answer questions from readers. Now, obviously, a small programming blog may not get a lot of traffic initially, but after a while it could do, and you may get questions from readers, giving you the opportunity to answer questions in a slightly different area of the topic you've been writing about. Pair program. Pair programming is a technique where you switch between the driver and navigator roles. The driver is the one who does the programming, while the navigator decides what's going to be programmed, and you switch between these two roles regularly. It gives you the opportunity to review the code, and it also lets you see how others solve problems and program in real time, including those little bugs that slip in, typos, and so on. It's a much more live stream, raw style of programming, rather than a polished presentation where you don't get to see any of the little errors that people make as they write code. Ask good questions. At many points in your programming career, you're going to need to ask for help, and often that can come in the form of asking questions on sites such as Stack Overflow. When doing so, it's really important that you ask questions in the right way so people can help you without duplicating the kind of testing that you've already done, and that you can give them a good idea of what you've already done and what you're intending the program to do. Firstly, the G of good. Give context on what you're trying to do, clearly describing the problem. So here on the left, we can see a bad example, just says can't print properly, whereas on the right, we've got a good example. I'm trying to use an F string with formatting combined with a variable to give 6 total digits in one decimal place, but I can't find the right syntax. The one on the left could be anything from printing on a printer to using the print statement, whereas the one on the right, it's really clear, we know exactly where we are and what the problem is. O. Outline the things you've already tried to fix the issue. Again, you see this quite often. Tried everything on the left. That's not really helpful. It's unlikely you've actually tried every possibility. On the right, you can see what the user has tried, the different variations, including an old style format, but nothing has worked for them. Next, offering the best guess as to what the problem might be. This helps the person who's helping you not only to know what you're thinking, but also to know that you've done some thinking on your own. You've not just fallen at the first hurdle and thrown the problem out for someone else to do. Again, on the left, we have a bad example, no idea what's wrong. And on the right, I can make the formatting work using old style formatting, but I can't see where to insert the variable in the new style. This is clear and concise and will hopefully point anyone who's trying to answer the question in the right direction to find somebody who knows really well how to use F strings. D stands for demo. So demo what's happening, include the code, a traceback error message, or an explanation of the steps you've executed that resulted in the error. This way, the person helping does not have to try to recreate the issue. So including all of the code that's relevant is really important, and you see this quite often where people can't help because they don't want to spend half an hour trying to work out what somebody's done. They want to just be able to copy the code, try running it themselves, or maybe just by looking at the code, they'll be able to tell the person what's wrong. So here on the left, a bad example, no code at all. On the right, a good example, the variable's been set, they're using old style formatting, but they said this works, but it's not an F string. That should yield a good answer fairly quickly. Quite often, when you put all the information together to ask the question to someone else, the answer will become apparent to you because you've put all that information in a way you haven't seen before, and new ideas can come to you as a result of that. You may realise there's something you haven't tried, or there may be something that you didn't try in the right way. Build something, anything. So building something, anything is a really, really important tip. So the scope of what you build doesn't really matter. It's much more important that you're building anything at all. You have to be realistic about what you're going to write. So the first program you create is probably going to be fairly simple. Something like a number guessing game that uses binary search, that kind of thing. But importantly, this gets you in the habit of starting and finishing a project. If you look around on sites such as GitHub, you'll see many a project which has been started and then left abandoned for whatever reason. This is a really, really bad thing to do. What you need to do is get in the habit of starting a project, writing it, and then finishing it, even if they start out being really simple. As your skills improve, you'll be able to create much more complicated programs than you ever thought possible, but only by practicing this. Building things is incredibly important because you learn much more in practice and avoid glossing over difficult areas. A quick aside, one of the first things I created, which has been used in production, was a pupil tracking database. Now, if I was going to write it again today, I would write it in a completely different manner. But the reason I would do that is because of the lessons that I learned as I wrote it. It's definitely completely functional, and the people in question are really happy with it, but I would create it in a totally different way, as now I understand much more about data structures and efficient methods for changing that data than I did when I started. Contributing to open source. Contributing to open source is often cited by people as a great way to improve your skills, and there are a few good reasons for this. Firstly, there are many thousands of Python-based open source projects. Python is an incredibly popular language, and as a result, there are lots of projects which are available for you to work on. Sites such as GitHub host them with the code visible for all. Let's take a look at how many Python projects are available on GitHub right now. So here you can see the GitHub topics page, which is github.com/topics. Now you can scroll down if you want and see the featured topics, but there are many of them. So a quick way around that is to put /Python at the end of the URL. And then you see a list of all the repositories which are using Python. And it's around 110,000 at the time of viewing this. Some you may have heard of, such as TensorFlow. Others not so much. You can see open issues, etc. Contributing is really important for learning the appropriate etiquette. You wouldn't just storm into people's rooms and say, well, your television's terrible and your stereo's rubbish, and yet sometimes people will do this kind of thing online. It's much better to make appropriate suggestions in a polite manner and then find out the real reason behind what's happening. Many is a time when what you think is a problem with an open source project is actually part of the design and you've not understood what's going on behind the scenes. If you don't think your coding skills are up to scratch just yet, you can contribute to documentation. Nearly all projects could use improved documentation. And you're just going to take a look now at GitHub and see how many large projects still need some help with their documentation. Here, carrying on from the earlier view of GitHub, at github.com/topics/Python, you can see open issues for projects both large and small. So in the case of TensorFlow, there's a few which are marked as good few issues and also docs related. And for the algorithms /Python, is a request to improve the README. So you could click on that and take a look and see if that's something you want to work on and contribute to. We can see some people are already adding them, but often, if you look further down in the threads, sometimes you can see people have started to do something, maybe haven't done anything, or they've said they're going to do work, and then they don't. But this is where you will see the conversation to do with the kind of thing you want to contribute to, and this is probably where you would be best to introduce yourself politely and see if you can do this kind of thing, as seen here. Looking for appropriate projects is really important here. It's very unlikely that as a beginning Python developer, you'll be able to contribute to the code of a mature project such as Pandas, NumPy, etc. But there are many smaller projects who would appreciate help in a number of areas, including documentation as seen before. Well, that's it. You've reached the end of this video series where we've looked at 11 beginner tips for learning Python programming. We looked at how coding every day can help you build muscle memory and mean you become a consistently improving coder. How writing out what you learn and what you're planning can really help you to retain and plan information better. How going interactive with a Python shell can allow you to quickly understand what's going on behind the scenes and learn new methods and ways of handling data. That it's important to take breaks, as this helps you learn, plan, and understand better. How being methodical can help you become a better bug bounty hunter. How important it is to surround yourself with others who are learning. How teaching is a great way to learn. How pair programming allows you to see people working at the coalface in real time. How asking appropriate questions with the right level of information will help you get the answers that you need. How building your own projects is the most important way that you can learn. How contributing to open source can help you become a better programmer and a part of the community. I hope you found this series of videos useful, and we'll see you again soon at realpython.com.